Hey guys, Nefis here, and we are back on the Scalebreaker Week 1 PTS, and we're going to be looking at the one-handed shield skill line. They did make a few adjustments. Developers have a vision for the skill line, and the vision is apparently, hey, we're going to step away from this skill line being more for hybrid DPS/tank builds and more exclusively just for tanks. And this is kind of good news for PvE and for PvE tanks for sure. And we'll be going over the skill changes and the history of some skills here and there. And I'm fairly confident they're going to pretty much keep these changes from week 1 until live. I don't think there's not much else to change. I think it's pretty much perfect, the adjustments they made to the skill line. So first things first, we're going to be looking at shield wall. Nothing has really changed for either morph of shield wall. Spell wall is the same, shield discipline is pretty much the same. The first skill, the big change for the first skill is that they made a huge update to ransack, and we'll be going over that. Now, pierce armor still does the same thing as puncture, except it still does the addition of major breach, which is armor penetration for your magic DPS. There may be some situations, such as on live and before in the previous patches, where you may need to use pierce armor over ransack. However, I think the update to ransack they did is fantastic, and this actually makes us consider, oh hey, this ransack morph I think we're gonna take regardless of the major fracture buff pierce armor gives, because the update they did was they removed the minor resolve, which was only about 1300 resistances given to you. As a tank, that's not much, it doesn't really do much. And instead they removed minor resolve, which you can get from other sources, to minor protection, which has definitely fewer sources of in the game. There's only a couple other skills that give minor protection, and minor protection is actually a pretty huge damage mitigation. And this is a very, very attractive option for tanks. Now the reason why people used ransack around Homestead patch or before Homestead patch was because pierce armor was bugged with the elemental drain skill. So what happened was, when the healers applied elemental drain to the bosses or targets or whatever in trials, the ransack the pierce armor morph with the major breach somehow overrode the elemental drains major breach and the minor magic steal, or as it was then, it wasn't really called minor magic steal back then. It was a unique debuff/buff on its own. But that's the reason why a lot of tanks used to run ransack if you watch old ESO videos. But now it seems we're going to go back to using ransack, not because skills are bugged, but because of the minor protection it gives us. The only class this won't really affect is the necromancer tanks, but for my necromancer tank, I don't really use pierce armor anyway, because I already have a source of major fracture and major breach in AoE. So ransack is pretty much going to be the default to go north. It's going to be pretty strong, and it's pretty fantastic change. The next skill, low slash, they made a couple adjustments to it. Deep slash, whatever, kind of irrelevant for PvE. Heroic slash is going to actually be more well tuned in terms of the duration of minor heroism. It lines up better with the duration of your skill. So for 12 seconds we reduce their damage done to the group, and we also get minor heroism for 16.8 seconds, and that's pretty nice. On live it's like lower than the 12-second duration. It's about 9 seconds, I believe. And defensive posture, this was another huge update to the skill. What they did was they removed the passive 8% damage mitigation and passive 8% block cost reduction from, I believe, both all skills, kind of, except this one. I'll talk more about that later. But basically, it's gonna be all skills, all morphs is gonna reflect back both magicka and physical based damage. So it says here, you reflect the next harmful direct damage projectile cast at you. This is great because absorb magicka right now on live doesn't really absorb physical based attacks like arrows and such from the Black Rose prison boss or something. So the morph that most tanks will probably go with is going to be defensive stance. And basically what happens is they give us back the passive block cost reduction and passive damage mitigation. And I believe they reduced it down to 7% instead of 8%, unless I'm wrong about the 8%. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty good morph to have. And also, you're going to have the same exact thing. You're going to reflect back the projectile back at the boss that's attacking you with the direct damage projectile. And yeah, I mean, the other morph, Absorb Missile, I don't know, I don't think it's going to be useful in a lot of cases. I mean, there are certain instances maybe where you can absorb certain heavy attacks, like Zamaja's heavy attack, but at the same time, like the defensive stance, the fact that it has that passive block cost reduction and the passive damage mitigation, it's pretty strong. So that will probably be the most tanks in PvE will be taking over Absorb Missile for the most part. And Shield Charge, nothing really changed here for PvE. So that's pretty much, I mean, you still want to take Shielded Assault if you ever want to use Shielded Assault for certain instances, like Boss 4 v Hoth, or the last boss v Hoth, so on. And Power Bash, they also made a big update to this as well. They removed the Major D file from Reverberating Bash, I'm sorry. And basically, the initial damage is halved and stuns the target, but the damage, the other half of the damage comes back after the stun ends. Power Slam, I think, will probably be the more preferred choice for PvPers using Sword and Board, because it's like the resentment stack sounds very interesting. That's like the stackable effect called resentment. So it increases damage of our next Power Slam by 5% for 5 seconds, and that stacks up to 10 times. So that is interesting, and it also blocking any attack increases damage of your next cast. So that's basically resentment. But other than that, for PvE, nothing really has changed for these two skills here, or the ultimate itself. The passive-wise, nothing really major, but the two biggest changes so far, besides the minor adjustment to the minor heroism duration, is Ransack, which is looking to be pretty damn strong for all instances, dungeons, trials, whatever, for tanks, and Defensive Stance, which looks also pretty nice for most situations. But yeah, those are the two biggest changes coming to PvE tanks. And that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions or would like me to review other things on the PTS, let me know down in the comments below. As always, stay safe, have fun, and see you next time.